Hello all my dear friends, and welcome back to another Kohan Duels video. Today we have Game 2, Marduk versus Zeza. Marduk won the first game on Destiny, as we saw. That was an awesome game last time. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it yet. So this is Fluke's choice, and he chose to go on Cave of Fear. This is such an interesting matchup because Marduk basically came into this tournament saying, I'm going to prove you guys that Royalist is broken the way you play with your maps and your patch and all that. Royalist is going to destroy all you. I'm going to come in and just prove you guys wrong. And he's been doing pretty good in this tournament. He beat Fluke pretty handily that first game, so what's going to happen? Is he going to prove that Royalists are broken? Probably, a little bit. We did actually, thanks a lot to the a lot of the info that we got and the criticism and feedback that we got from the other Kohan community about the maps and the patch and all that. We learned a lot from it and made a good number of changes just to continue to make this 1v1 format and the way we play at the Kohan Citadel just the best it could possibly be. So thank you guys. Thank you, Marduk and Crazy, for being in this tournament and for showing us the shortcomings of the map design in particular and the patches and all that. It was actually really helpful and awesome. But that is not to talk about right now in particular. Right now is to talk about Marduk versus Fluke. But before I talk about that, I'm going to go on another tangent. I'm going to say this in a lot of my videos. I'm going to keep pounding it into people. We're doing monthly show matches. I've posted about this. I talked about it in the last video, and I just have to keep making little reminders. If you have any interest in playing, I don't even know if show match is necessarily the right word. It's just like a night of Kohan games. It's just a monthly event where everyone can play Kohan games. And there's going to be some more competitive games and some less competitive games. So even if you're not into trying out competitive 1v1s, just put your name down on that list for a free-for-all. It'll just be goofy and fun. We'll do a big map, 8-person free-for-all with diplomacy and AI in there, and it'll just be goofy fun. Or if you want to play 1v1s and you want to play 2v2s, put your name on there. If you're going in your head right now, oh, but I'm not good enough. Like, if I'm not going to be able to beat Zeza or Fluke or Bont or these players in the community that play a lot, they're way better than me. That's fine. I'm not going to pair you against those players. With a small community, we pretty much know generally where most of the players stand in terms of skill level and stuff. So if you put your name down, we're only going to make a match that's fair for you. You're going to go against someone who's a similar skill level. Or if you're the only one of a certain skill level that put your name on the 1v1 list, then we just won't do a 1v1 this month. It'll happen next time. But you can still be involved in a 2v2 or in a free-for-all. So yeah, I'm just really trying to get the point across. Like, if you want to play at all, just put your name down, and it'll be our job to talk about it and figure out the ways to play that it's going to be the most fun and the most, even matches. That's it. Link's going to be below. I'm going to talk about this in every video for a while until I really get these monthly show matches going. But for now, we are going into this game. Flute versus Marduk. Flute chose Cave of Fear. This is the most hilarious map in the pool. I fucking love it. The games in it are always so funny, and there was a lot of complaints about this map, and there was a good bit of changes that happened, but for now, we got spider layers. We have all these weird indies to the north that are really hard to take. We're probably going to see a lot of this game revolve on the south, around getting those spider layers really quickly. Maybe someone will go for the Nexus in the center, that assault fort that gives you all those minerals. Minerals? That is the wrong game. I'm not playing StarCraft right now. That gives you all those resources. This is going to be fun. This is going to be awesome. I do not know who wins this game. I don't know what happened in the set at all, so this is all new to me. You're seeing it here first, you're seeing it here last, and you're seeing it here third. Let's get into this game. Alrighty, and in the left, we have Fluke as the Nationalist, and in the right, we have our friend Marduk as the Royalist. What are we going to do? Okay. This is already weird. 12 seconds into the game, and Marduk has not made anyone? Okay, there we go. He was probably just opening up his Kohan and just starting to see what he had to go on. And he was going for that same build that we saw last time. Double short scouts with Kohan. He was opening up his Kohan, seeing what the best thing to do was, and just putting them all on there. And he got Dylan, and he got Arya. Not too bad. Dylan was definitely a really nice pick, and he's moving out with Dylan immediately to look at the map, to see what Flute's up to, and just to reveal as much fog of war as he can. Flute opens Sebastian here again. Love that beard in Sebastian. Going over there and getting his 70 gold Ancient Ruin, and it looks like he is going for a very familiar build. Kind of the same thing he did most games. The only real difference is between going Scout first or between going Engineer first. And here he's going for Engineer first. Quarry, Engineer, Woodmill, upgrade. And over here, we just have wood upgrade and those double scouts coming from Marduk. And very important to note on this map, there are these 40 gold megaliths, explorable ruins. And as you can see, there is, this is a little bit of the disadvantage for Marduk of not really playing in this community that much, is that he doesn't know the maps as well. And you can tell he's just immediately sending these guys out and poking around and looking around to start to see what's going on the map. He does get that megalith really early, and these scouts are going to go down south. And so he is going to get a really good knowledge of the map this way and just unveil so much fog of war. So he's going to know everything that's going on in the map. Over here, we do have that very familiar opening for Flute. He chose to go short scouts, putting a Hikar on there. Dominion and Recon, not a terrible Kohan, but not nearly as exciting as Sebastian. And we're going to see those Econ buildings coming out of him while he waits for these guys to get up and take an Indy. Running into the spider lair is Marduk, but are those spiders out somewhere? It's hard to tell. They didn't spawn on him. I guess it's just because the militia is not quite full yet. So he sees that that's going on. He's seeing all these indies to the north. He's seeing the gold deposits. He's seeing everything going on in this map, and he's going to know when Flute moves out to try to do something. Flute or Fluke, I don't know what his name is. I'm just going to interchangeably call him both. This game he was Fluke. Last game he was Flute. What are you going to do? Marduk is going for a billet here. Pretty standard. Carpentry Guild into billet into whatever your third building is pretty standard Royalist opening. No settlers yet for Marduk. He is really just hanging out with these scouts, and he fails to take the Draga with those scouts. And so that seems like trying to take a Draga with just short scouts. I don't care how good your Kohan is. And this was just Arya. That's not going to work. So Marduk is actually looking to be in a bit of a weird position here. He has so little military and does not have a second settlement up, has very little econ, and I have to question the efficacy of this opener. But going for those engineers, and he is going to immediately take his gold mine. And this will definitely give him enough to start taking indies, but he is at his cap right now, so he cannot make any settlers. Over here, we have that very familiar 4 components out of Flute's Nationalist town, and very familiar 2 companies that are going to go over and take Shoira. Oh, very interested to see what's going to happen in this game. It's such an interesting thing, that level of like Flute is so familiar with all these maps, so familiar with this format, whereas Marduk is not. He plays 4v4s on big random maps. It's a very, very different thing. And now he's getting ready to move out and is going to do so. This is going to be able to take that Draga no problem. And over here, Flute has taken his Draga and is immediately going for these settlers. Now that he has that extra company supply. This is, as I've said, the very standard Nationalist opener. And the reason you do it this way is actually just because of how vulnerable Nationalists are to early harass. If you try to go settler first, you have 1 company limit, and it takes extra time for your town to get, for your village to get to a town, because you have to build that extra component. So basically, you have that 1 settler that is just such a sitting duck out there for any early harassment, especially from a Royalist or a Sia that have those 2 company limits to start. So this build is really, really just based around, you really hold off that settler because you have that indie there. You have the engineers, you can start to get your economy up. And you don't want to ever stick your neck out. Because if you went these settlers first, those scouts coming out of the Royalist player could have easily found them and just stopped that settlement. And that would have been a huge, huge, huge step back. So the way that Flute plays with Nationalists usually is to go this really safe opening where you get these 2 military companies first and you really hold off on that settlement, which is totally fine. You have between your 4 component main and your indie, you have plenty of components to work with. And just now is he going to get that settlement and start to move out on the map. And you see he's going for his spiders here. Spiders are 180 gold when you get this layer, so that's really, really huge. And this map usually does kind of become a race to the spiders. And it looks like Flute is going to be able to take this no problem. Marduk is not going out to see that, but he is taking Gar Karakan over there. He's still not gotten any settlers. And it's 36 economy to 58. Flute is looking much, much better here, I must say. 2 scouts and engineers versus Scout Archer Engineer. 3 settlements versus 2 settlements and a higher economy. I imagine we are going to be seeing some tech. Yes, right as I say that, the library is halfway done being built, and we are going to start to see likely some footmen with summoners. Now, this game, he did choose to go for those earlier short bowmen. I think that was really a map decision. He really wanted to be able to get those spiders early, so he got that extra company up a little bit early. And that would also explain why he went short scouts, because he wanted to have that extra wood. So very much like a meta map choice there to do that. Up here, we have the Royalist player Marduk doing the same thing, trying to take the northern spiders, since the southern spiders are now out of his reach. And that'll kind of even out the odds. Both players will get their 180 gold, assuming he's able to take this, which I think he will be able to. It's actually, I'm not sure. Spiders are tough. They had 800 HP in this patch, and he kind of just went up there with the bare minimum. You have to remember, too, that spiders have this melee resistance, so just 2 scouts is a pretty bad unit comp to try to take it with. And we see the hero go down. God, that was kind of that was a nightmare for for Marduk, to be honest. Arya completely down. He's gonna have to spend 50 gold to get her back up, and he is finally getting settlers. And he also has these full goons. Very interesting. I didn't see that happen. Sold his quarry, got the iron in both places, so he has full goons out there with Dylan, and that is scary. Over here, do we have any tech out yet? Oh, interesting. It looks like he actually got rid of his short scouts and went for double super scouts. That is what he chose to do with the library, not the summoners like he usually does. And now there's 2 reasons for this. First of all, he's up against Royalist. He's trying to match cavalry with cavalry, match mobility with mobility, and not just have Royalists be able to send cavalry out on the map and completely take control of it. And doubly so in this map because of all the terrain, because of all this desert here that you have to move through. And even this corrupt will slow you down just a little bit. Up here is actually beach and not desert. Over here is desert. So there is a lot of desert on this map, a lot of terrain that you have to get around. And so having the trailblazing from Rangers is just so powerful on this map. It's very important to be able to move between the southern section and the middle section. And so he's setting himself up to be able to do that. So once again, this is just looking so good for Flute. Marduk is finally coming back up here to take his spiders, and I think he's going to be able to do it this time. But it's plus 42 versus plus 55, and I don't know if Flute sees this happening or he's suspecting it's happening, but he is moving up there with these guys, and if he can, oh my lord, if he can pick these guys off, that is going to be huge. Oh my god, I think he's going to make it. Oh, holy shit, he just stole that. Marduk did all the work to take those spiders out, and Flute just came in from behind, snipes the spider lair, and that is now a 360 gold swing with him taking both spider lairs and Marduk taking none. That is huge. Flute's econ is not great right now. It's definitely less than it usually is because he kind of invested so much into getting those super scouts, but right there, it 100% paid off. No doubt in my mind that that was the right call to kind of do that little bit of sacrificing econ. That was awesome. Sucks for Marduk, and I know how shitty that feels, to kind of be in that position. But Flute just really played that perfectly and is really playing this map really well right now. But we have horse archers out for Marduk. We have him moving around the map. Still not sure what moves he's going to make, but he's coming in with these 2 short scouts who are now both Kohanless, and is just going to poke around, try to do a little raiding, try to catch something off guard, but Flute is going to come back here, and honestly, he did not need to bring these guys out. He's trying to catch these scouts and do something, but these engineers plus the militia could have easily taken care of just 2 scouts. So Marduk's move actually did force a little bit of reaction out of Flute, and for that sake alone, I actually really like the move. Now, if you look here at Flute's heroes, he had Sebastian, and he had a Hikir. Neither of them are that close to Enlightened. It's 76 experience to get to Enlightened. But Sebastian is on his way. Over here on the other side, Dylan at 34 and Arya, as we know, died, but has come back into the fray. 5 companies against 6 companies. The Nationalist player is actually ahead in companies. Now, one of those is Settlers, so I suppose, concede to the fact that they are really tied on companies. But it's pretty rare that you see that, 6-5 Nationalist to Royalist. Both players are mining from their wood. Both players are getting their econs up. And econs are actually very similar now. Marduk has kind of gotten himself in a better economic position. He has his first settlement here, that he got the wood export. And I know that's a pretty common way of playing Royalist to, you know, you get the majority of your companies out of this Carpentry Guild, Blacksmith, and Billet. That can get you... It can get you all your cavalry. It can get you Dragoons, Lancers, Horse Archers, and Scouts. I mean, Scouts and Lancers don't need any components, but this is what can get you Dragoons and Horse Archers, which is kind of the backbone of what the Royalist army is often going to be going on. And then from there, he can settle so cheaply. It's 40 gold for... If you have a Kohan open and you have a Billet, it's only 40 gold to settle, compared to 60 with Kohan and other factions, or 75 with no Kohan. So Royalists can really pump out settlements at a certain point in the game. And he's going to do that and just put wood exports on his settlements to get his econ up. But over here, we have a big attack going on. Those two scouts, those Dragoons. The Dragoons up front with the protection from Dylan is definitely a really, really scary force. Flute scouts go down. Not his super scouts, though. It looked like... I don't actually know who those were. It might have been another company of super scouts. I don't think so, because he's already on -1. They were probably just regular scouts. And those super scouts were not able to do anything significant to use their mobility. He does have the summoner footman party that looks like it got caught in a weird retreat there a little bit. So this isn't... it's not a great position at all. Oh, look at this. Short Berserker with 1 Ranger for the Trailblazing. I absolutely love that. This is scrappy, but I think because of this fully healed Footman Summoner company in the back, Flute is going to be able to make it out of this alive. I don't want to speak too soon, but he has the supply zone so near that he's really able to weave in and out of this battle just enough to stop Marduk from taking the settlement. And that was really well played. That looked really scary, and I think to a less experienced player, they would have looked at that and been like, oh shit, I can't beat this Royalist army, I'm going to lose the settlement, and just freaked out. But Flute really played it cool there. He knew that because he had the supply zone right behind him and the ability to move these companies in and out, and the superb defensive ability of this summoner company, he really just played that well, kept his cool, was able to keep that settlement kind of no problem, honestly. I don't think he was even that worried there. The reason I love this Berserker company is it's just a cheap, solid front line, does good DPS, and the 1 Ranger's in the back just to make it mobile. He didn't really have to spend much on this company, and it really is going to bolster his army in a pretty significant way. Plus 81 now to plus 73. We see another settlement going up here from Marduk. Like we said, it looks like he's going to continue to get those wood exports, or he's going to turn it into a sawmill, perhaps, and use that to get more horse archers. But he is now mining from that iron, and so I'm interested to see what he does with that. He could afford short goons right now. He could tank his econ just a tiny bit and go for those long goons. But he's got a lot that he's sitting on. He's got a lot to work with. Flute is now moving in here, and just doing his dance, man. Doing his dance like he does. You can see there's really not that much damage that have been taken on these companies. Like, look at this. Most of Flute's units are still alive. He lost the front lines and scouts, but he still has the Rangers. He still has the Hans on there. That was a poke, and it didn't do that much, but it is definitely putting the fear into Marduk. And look at this. 2 short footman companies. I really like that play. I would say one of the marks of a good Nationalist or Council player is really being able to, especially at a certain point in the game, to look at their company limit and see that it's just that. You are saving 1 company supply for settlers if you want them, if there's no chance of getting indies anytime soon. And it's still at the point of the game where you're continuing to macro up. But aside from that, you are using the rest of your company slots as efficiently as possible. And you can see, look at this, a fort going right here, and then another outpost here. So he's really covering both grounds there, covering the south, covering the center, not going to get caught off guard, playing this map how it's meant to be played, I think, and really playing against Royalists how they're meant to be played. Look at this. This 1 Ranger got lost out there, and that's some DPS that he's missing, and that sucks. Second Flute. First Flute, second Flute. Scouts coming in, doing a little retreat, trying to do some micro to catch some guys from behind. And it looks like Scouts go down for Marduk. Not a huge loss. But again, Flute is able to move in here and do a really good job of holding this position when it looked a bit scary. Plus 84 to plus 82. The econs are very, very similar. Now, what did we see happen? Oh, look at this. Berserker with Magician, very cool. I really like both players doing some pretty cool companies out of the Draga. And again, those Berserkers are just like, they're adding a lot of damage, and then this is just adding even more damage, aside from just being a little bit of a front line. So I like that a lot. It's really going to help to kind of blast down. I mean, the thing with Golems too, you really want to get to a certain saturation of DPS when you're going against Golems, so that the Golems stop being annoying. And stop really being that much of a factor. Because when you're able to do this golem dance so often and so easily, it gets really annoying. But like I said, once you have that saturation of DPS where you can take the golems down really quickly and easily, then they become less of an issue. But we have our friend Flute moving in against our friend Marduk. Both players are just being really careful about positioning here. Marduk definitely has a nice arc here, and he's going to be able to come from behind with these scouts, come from the side with those golems. And look, the scouts are coming from behind, and they're actually getting right up on Ahikir right there. Ahikir is forced to do a little bit of retreat. Berserker goes down, falls in very melodramatic fashion. Scouts are getting hurt a lot. Footmen, even a summoner went down, and that is definitely a sign that the battle is not going exactly how you want it as a Nationalist player. These Berserkers might completely go down. I think Flute really has to get out of here. Berserkers go down, and that was a great hold by Marduk. He definitely had the positioning there, and with the addition of this Berserker company, he has a really scary army. But what is going to go on? So, okay, Footman coming out with Summoners now. I think he might have actually disbanded one of those short Footmen, because I don't see the other one around. Interesting. I guess he really, he has the money in the econ to throw a little bit away. He's really fearing a counterattack here, and he's doing the right thing. A fort and a short footman company is actually going to do a lot to stop any raids that come. The footmen get that plus AV, plus 5 AV attack. That is, attack value is what AV stands for. Plus 5 attack versus any cavalry, so just having a nice handful of short footman company, especially in defensive positions against Royalists, can be really, really nice. Okay, we got more Berserker and Magician coming out here. I love it. That's a really interesting way for him to be using his mana. He's not really doing any sort of moves towards getting, upgrading or getting any more Royalist tech. He's really just relying on the tech that he has been able to get from Dargaraken, the Draga enclave that is right near him. So very, very cool to see that. And looks like he's moving up here. I'm a little bit afraid of this, honestly. I think this might be able to take it, but these indies up north are deceptively hard to take. And he's going to try, and I actually really, really hope it goes well for him. Because this will... Oh, actually, he comes back to the battle. And that is the mark of a good player. It really is. There can be so much like psychology about like, oh, I'm committed to going up here. I said I was going to go and take this indie, so I have to go do it. It doesn't matter what else is happening, is what I said. A lot of like newer players will get caught in that trap. I definitely have myself too. So one thing that really is the mark of a good player sometimes is just the ability to change gears exactly when you need to. He really wanted to go and use these companies to take that indie, but as soon as he realized that this attack was coming and coming so powerfully, it was like, no, I need these guys down here. This is what is going to help me win this game. This is what is going to help me hold my position in the south. I'm going to bring these guys back. And so now he does have a full horse archer company and a full goon company coming into this battle, and it's going to make a difference. I would like to see him micro these horse archers away. It was a little sad to see them going right up front. Actually really sad to see those guys going right up front. That was huge because he lost so many horse archers. He lost half the company, and that's half the DPS coming out of there. Both of these Berserker companies are absolutely tattered. Just a single magician in each one. And look at this, the Berserker raid coming from up north. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but it's at least going to draw these militia away, and he might be able to finish the job from his companies down south. This is a super cool game. I'm really liking seeing this. But like I said, Cave of Fear, especially this version, you see all the battles going on down south here. The north just kind of proves to be a little too difficult to take and to hold, and the Dragas are kind of just like out there enough where you, and so valuable that it's really important to hold them. And of course, the spider lair down here becomes a point of contention early in the game that really sets up the tone for that. I'm really interested to see how the tech of Flute is progressing. Let us go look. Oh, just Magician's coming out. Okay, so there we go. Nightbringer is coming right now. It's funny because I first of all, just me as a player, like I'm not so experienced that I know the timings that well, and the meta is just not so developed that the timings are certain. But it's just really interesting that I had that hunch. I wonder what his tech is doing. And right as I thought that is when the Nightbringer was coming up, and we're going to start seeing Zealots and Fanatics out of him soon. So it's really interesting how just intuitively I was able to figure that out. Same thing earlier in the game. You know, there was a point where I was like, oh, and look at that. I'm just out here blabbering about my, you know, guessing his tech. And right as that happens, Marduk just does the GG without saying GG, but we know that he said it in heart. Flute is the winner. That was an awesome game. Very, very cool. You know, the biggest things that happened that game, Flute being able to take both spider layers was absolutely huge. He just made such a good tech call, sacrificing a little bit of early econ to go for those double super scouts. Like, that was the best call on this map, the best call against Royalist, and it paid off immediately because he was able to use those guys to come up here and snag the spider layer. Taking both those spider layers was such a huge gold swing on Flute's part. Aside from that, he had a really, really good balance of offensive and defensive companies to just match what Marduk was doing. And when you look at Marduk companies, they were just a little bit all over, and he was doing the standard Royalist play of having these scouts and dragoons and horse archers, and then added these really cool companies from the Draga. But there was just like less, I don't know, I didn't look at that and immediately think to myself, that is a fucking perfect unit comp. Whereas with Flute, it was. The summoner companies came out at just the right point to be able to have that little bit of slow moving harass, and the defensive capabilities, like earlier in the game when he was able to hold this place from a big attack from our friend Marduk. And just getting those super scouts at just that time, was able to snag that up there. And then, you know, right at the end of the game, he started getting this extra DPS as he was moving in for the kill. Really well done, really fun game. That was awesome. Yeah, I am going to go on and just cast the last game right now too, so you'll be seeing both these games up pretty soon. And then after this, we just have a couple more matches for the tournament. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is a lovely day right now, and I'm so happy. And I'm so happy that you guys are here, and I hope you're happy too, because that's what means a lot to me.